Alright, back in the shop. We are 1 week closer to hopefully getting this truck done. And the task for this week is to finish up all the paint work, which is the last piece that we need to work on, and that's the hood. Now, I did find there was some previous work done to this hood that the owner really didn't know about. It was probably done when his father still owned the truck. But I have found evidence, and Ashton's going to show. Ashton, what are you doing? We're not playing firefighter. We're working today, aren't we? Where was the damage at on this hood? That's right. As you can see, right here in the center of the hood, there's some old plastic body filler. And it started to chip out right here in the center. So we're going to have to grind all that out and see what happened to this hood, and then make repairs as needed. But what I found was this hood and the cowl was repainted, because the other thing I did this week, I did get the cowl piece put back on the hood, on the truck. But got this put back on, and I got the window trim cleaned up and polished and put it back on the truck. And I found along the bottom edge of this trim here just some real minor marks from when it was painted last time. There was some paint on the bottom edge of that trim. So that tells me that they did some repairs to the front of the hood, and they just went ahead and painted the hood. They painted the hood and up the cowl just so everything matched. They did a pretty good job because nobody knew that it had been painted. So that's our task for this week, is to get the hood done. We're going to get some interior pieces cleaned up too and get all that stuff ready. I've got to re-dye everything because the door panels and the dash pad come in a saddle color, which is a little bit off from the original color of the interior, but it's the only color they're available in. So we're going to go ahead and re-dye all the interior to match the door panels and the dash cap. So that means the dash, the A-pillar trim, the trim around the seat belts, and the trim that's on the seat frame itself all has to be dyed to match, which is not a big deal. The saddle color is readily available, and it'll look nice and fresh when everything's done. Everything will get cleaned up and re-dyed. So that's what we got going on this week, and I'm going to take you through and bring you updates as we make progress. Alright, so I ground out the Bondo that was in this hood, and what I found was this is a pretty old repair that was done. As you can see, this is gold colored, so this has been brazed with a torch and brazing rods. So this repair needs to be removed because it's, brass can react with certain paints and plastic fillers that are on the market today. They're not designed to be used over top of brass. So we're gonna grind all this out and see what we come up with. Once this is removed, we may end up cutting a section out of here and welding a small piece of metal in here just to repair this. I'm not really sure what happened here. I have a feeling there's a hole in the hood here. But we'll get this fixed up the right way, and we'll get the hood finished up. Well, I've ground into this enough to see that I don't like what I see. So I'm just going to cut a section out of here and make me a little piece to replace what I cut out and do it the right way. So we're going to go ahead and make some cuts and see what we got when we cut it out. solid. I don't know why they had that in there. I got a little bit of brass there I need to grind out. One thing about doing this is that you cannot MIG weld to brass. So in order to do this repair, I have to get all of this brass out of here from this brazing rod that was done years ago. And I have a feeling it goes around to the back side. For some reason, I really don't know what happened here. It's an odd situation that's going on with this. There is a little bit of Bondo on the back side here where it folds over. It's probably a good chance that the brass goes around that far too. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what happened with this. Whether it had a hole punched in it, it rusted out, it was dented. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with this, but we just need to get it fixed. I might have to turn the hood over. So in order to get all this brass out of here, I essentially had to cut the back part of this. And what it is the hood skin comes down to the edge and then it folds over the inner structure, and it's just it's got some spot welds every 6 inches or so along the back side. So what we'll do is we'll make a patch here for the front with enough lip that can fold over like the original, and we'll kind of do it just like the original was, and we'll just weld it along the seam, straighten out this inner piece, and that'll leave a much nicer repair than what was done here with the brass and the Bondo and everything else that was going on. I'm not sure, but we'll fix it. So we'll go ahead and make up this patch panel. I'll use this piece of sheet metal here. This should be plenty long enough. Now, I also brought my tin snips and a hammer and dolly, because this inner structure piece is actually pushed in the center. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. got that straightened out. Just marking it, and I'm going to take my other piece and lay it on here, make sure I've got my width correct. And that's about the same. Cut our piece a little fat. When you're cutting sheet metal to make panels, it's always not a bad idea to make them a little fat. You can always take some more off and trim it. It's harder to put it back on. So we got good over there. We're a little fat. So we'll go ahead and mark our edge here. This side, same. Now that fits right in there, perfect. So now, I guess I could cut these back, cut the inside piece back, and then all I got to do is fold it over. So we'll just take a little bit more off where it folds over rather than trying to cut a little bit off and fold it. We'll just make it the same width, both front and back repair. Alright, so that leaves that with just enough for the weld to penetrate and hit the back. The inside support piece, and I'll go ahead and mark this edge. And I'm going to take it over here to my brake, and I'm going to put a 90 in it just so it's got a start for the fold over, and then I can start welding this in. Okay, so I took my piece and put it in my brake and got my bend started. I also took some self-etching primer and just hit the front and back sides of this so that once this is on, it'll be protected as much as it can be. So we've got this piece here that fits in, and our edges here line up nice. So we are going to go ahead and get this welded in. I'm just going to put a couple of tacks on the front edge. Alright, so get this set here. Make sure we're even where we got to bend. Do our fold over. Alright, and I'm just going to give it a, I'm going to trim a little bit off of this one edge. Just not real happy with that. Alright. That's better. Now I'll just give it a tack. And that's good there. Tack this side. Alright, so that leaves that stabilized. Now, to replicate the factory fold, we just take a dolly and lay it up against our piece here and just bend it over. Alright, and our edge is nice and straight right across there. And then we're just going to go ahead and finish welding this. I'll weld up the seam on the back side. And then we got a couple of small dents here on the front that I may use my dent puller to try and just bring them out a little bit more rather than filling that in all the way. And then we'll go ahead with our finished bodywork. Okay, I've got my patch all welded in and the welds ground down, and I used my stud welder to and my dent puller to bring this up where the dent was, just so it's used the minimal amount of body filler as possible.
On top.
What do you want to talk about? What is it?
It's a hood, so we got this. And we got this what's right there. We gotta paint this.
Yeah. Did we fix the dent good here? Is it all nice and good now?
Ooh, we haven't painted that.
Yeah, we have to paint that. So we're going to carry on with the body work, just like I've done with everything else. Finished body work. We'll just use some body filler, bring everything up to level, sand everything down, get it ready for primer, and got a couple other spots on this hood to go over, and it should be ready for epoxy prime sealer and then some surface primer.
I want to talk on A.
Alright, we're done talking. Say see ya.
See you.
Go ahead. Alright, next day, and we put 2 coats of epoxy primer on our hood. Seals in and locks in that old paint and gives us a good base on the bare metal we had. So we're going to go ahead and do our filler work, body filler work, where we had this little area here. Remember, we put the patch in here, and I pulled up on these little dents that were in the hood here, so we shouldn't need too much. And so we're going to go ahead and mix up our filler. And I'm using a 3M body filler. And you just want to use a small amount of hardener, because today is a fairly warm day. When you're mixing body filler, The amount of hardener you put in your filler is going to vary with the temperature of your day. The hotter it is, the less hardener you need, because it will kick off and start to set up very quickly when it's very hot out. And if you got too much hardener in it and you don't move fast enough, you're going to waste a lot of body filler on your mixing board. Now, I'm using a clean sheet mixing board. It comes with like a wax paper type paper here, and that gives me a nice clean surface to work off of each time. You just tear them off and throw them away. Ashton's making some noises over there for me in the background. Okay, we were having some technical difficulties while I was filming most of this. Battery kept going dead. But anyhow, we've got our filler sanded down. Now there's a couple of small areas that still need some attention. So what we're going to do is go ahead and skim coat this with the polyester putty. And we'll feather all that out again and have it sanded down smooth and ready for some heavy fill primer. Alright, next morning, and I've let everything set up overnight while I was finishing cleaning up the trim. And we've got our repair work done here. Body work's all finished out. So we're going to go ahead and get the hood wiped down. And we're going to shoot some of the heavy fill primer on the hood. I'm going to probably do 3 coats in this area where the body work was. And then I'll do 2 coats over the rest of the hood. That'll leave it ready for a good block sanding and have it ready to be prepped for paint.